Hello guys, today I will be discussing about the file input output functions that are supported in C programming language, and for the same I will be discussing the functions like fscanf, fgets, fgetc, fprintf, fputs, feof, fseek, ftell and rewind. So by the name you would guess that the first three functions are the functions that would be getting the input from the file, and you'll see a common thing among all the functions is it's always starts with an f. So it tells me that there is a file stream from where I'll either be getting the data or where I will be writing my data, right? So the first three functions will be for asking the value from the user. fscanf is very similar to scanf that we have been using to ask values from the user. fscanf on the other hand will take the values or read the values from the file. Similarly, fgets means that you need to get the string from the file. fgetc means that you need to get the character from the file, and fprintf means that you need to write the content to the file. fputs means that you want to put the string to the file, and likewise there is fputc as well, that you can search. Then there is feof. So what is this function doing? So whenever you are writing any content onto the file and save that file basically moves to the disk. And while it is being written to the disk, uh, a special character is added to the file towards the end of it, which marks the end of the file, and that has been macro named in the standard input output header file of the C as EOF, that is end of file. So this feof function is a function that tells me if by accessing all the elements have I reached the end of my file. If yes, then it would be returning a true value, otherwise a false value. fseek is one such function that helps me to seek a particular position or to go to a particular point in my file and then read the content or write the content at that point. ftell will tell me my current place, and rewind would take me back to the initial location. And we'll look into the example of all these functions in a short bit. So without further ado and discussing things verbally, let's dive deep into it and understand how to achieve these tasks. So my first task would be that I have created a file by the name of sample1.txt in my directory, in the directory where I'm writing my file handling program, and that file contains the string "Hi, welcome to C Programming Lab, Zagros College of Engineering and Technology." My task here is to read this file and write the content that has been read to the console over here. So how do we achieve that? So for that, first of all, we always start our program with hash include stdio.h. I will be using one more header file, but I will be telling you when I use it. So void main for initializing my function. Main, in the main there is a file structure type, and I will be creating a pointer to the file structure type. Now what is this structure type? So file structure type has been defined in the standard input output header file, which basically tells me or gives me the power of initializing a variable which will be pointing towards the content of the file, and then from there I can read those things. So it is always going to be a pointer type thing. So pointer to ft is something that would be initialized. So ft, or you can take the name as fs, because this is my source file which I want to read. Next statement would be a function which is named as fopen. So it will be taking the file name initially. So fopen, you need to tell the file name. So my file name over here is sample1.txt. So sample1.txt is my file name, and the other thing is your mode. So there are three kinds of mode. I want to read my file, so I will be opening this in the read mode. So let me explain a bit about the modes over here. R means the read mode, and similarly W means the write mode, and A means the append mode. This append mode can also be called as the add mode. What is the difference between the write and add? I will be taking that up when we will be discussing about writing the files. So for now, let us concentrate on the read aspects only. Therefore, this file sample1.txt will be open in the read mode. Now what this fopen does automatically to us is that it will be searching my file in the disk, and from the disk it will be loading the content of the file into the RAM. RAM is my main memory. And whenever you have got a program where you are executing it, the execution always takes place in the RAM or the main memory, and therefore the content of this file, because it is of use to you in this program, has to be loaded into the RAM. And sometimes the space where the content is being loaded is also called as the buffer. So you read from the disk and you copy the content to the RAM. Fine. And this is automatically done by the fopen. So once the content has been loaded, so it searched for sample1.txt, loaded the content in the read mode into the RAM. It has to be pointed by a pointer, and for that I have already initialized a pointer by the name of fs. So fs would be pointing towards the content, the initial point of the content that is written in the sample1.txt, right? So after you have written this, you will have to check that if your fs is equals to null. Why is this check required? Because there might be a chance that you are looking for a file that is not present in the disk at all, and in that case a null would be returned to the fs. So if you are getting a null value back, then in that case you need to write a proper error message to the user that the file not find count, kind of, right? And after that you would like to exit your program, or you would like to end your program, and for that I'll be using the exit function. And this exit function is something that is defined in the stdlib file. So stdlib.h header file would also be included for this function to run correctly. Moving ahead, now once the content has been loaded, what else needs to be done? So let me explain this thing to you with the help of the diagram. So you have got a disk where there is a file by the name of sample1.txt. This is your RAM space. In this, a certain section has been loaded and the file content has been written over here with the help of fopen function. And now here is your content, right? Character of this content is pointed to by the fs that I have created over here. So if null means the file was not there and the content was not loaded, so fs is basically pointing to nothing, so that is where your null. If it is pointing to something, so there is some data, and that data we have already seen is written over here. So this is the data. Whenever we talk about the file, always remember that towards the end of the file here, there will be an special character that marks the end of the file, and that special character has been defined in the C programming stdio.h by the macro eof, which means end of file. So if I'm getting a character of eof kind, that means I have reached the end of my file, right? So this gives me the power of checking when I am reaching towards the end of it. So I can write an infinite loop like while 1. So this will go an infinite number of times, and in this I will be trying to read the character. So for that I need to have a character type variable, maybe char ch. Then that ch would be getting the value from fgetc, and this will take in the file pointer, that is fs. So fgetc basically tells my compiler that you need to get the character from the file that is pointed by the fs, and whichever character you are getting should be stored to the ch variable. Once you have got the character, you would like to print it as well onto the screen, and for that you will be using the %c, and ch will be printed onto the console. And you will also be checking if your ch is double equals to end of file. Maybe you have reached to the end of the file, then in that case you need to break the loop as well, because it is an infinite loop. So once this has been done, let me also add a printf here also, which will be basically telling me that output is printed over here. And once everything has been printed onto the screen, I would also like to count the number of characters that we are printing. So for that I can take a count equals to 0 integer type of variable, which will be incremented after every count. So count plus plus. And towards the end, I would like to display the number of characters that were counted. And once all this task is done, I would like to close my file as well. So the content that you had loaded onto the RAM will be written back to the disk. If you have made any changes, the updated version will be written back. If you have not made any changes, then as it is, the content would be written back to the disk. And since we are not opening the file in the write mode, therefore there will be no change and the exact same content would be written back to the disk. That means your RAM space after fclose would be free. Let's execute it and check for ourselves. So if I'm running this, the output comes out to be hi. Welcome to C Programming Lab, Zyclosen College of Engineering and Technology. And after that, it's printing the number of characters to be 83. Now, do we actually have 83 number of characters? So it's better, instead of counting, we do get to some website that counts the letters. So there is a website by the name of letter count. If I'm copy pasting my content and counting the number of characters, it tells me there are 82 characters, and this is precisely no. So it is printing 83 characters. And why is that? All right, so there was a slash n given at the end as well, and now there are 82 characters. So I hope you have got a little idea of how to read the content by using fgetc. Now let us understand that how can we use fscanf for doing the same task. And for that, let me just clear this. Now fscanf, when used, will be asking for the file stream from where you want to take the values, right? So the file stream was fs, and what kind of values are you looking for? You are looking for %s kind of values. And where do you want to store these %s kind of values? So I will be taking a new variable by the name of string, and rather, instead of a string, let me take the name as word. And instead of ch, now I'll be using a word array, because percentage is representing my strings. String means that it is an array of characters, right? Not a single character. Therefore you cannot have a single variable to hold this value. You need to have an array of character type to hold the percentage kind of values. You also remember from the scanf percentage that scanf is designed not to take spaces as an input. So whenever you are providing it, it will be marking these spaces, and it will be getting only the initial value, that is high. Next time when you run it in the loop, it will get you to the second word. The next time in the loop, it will get you to the third word, and so on and so forth, until you reach towards the end of it. So where is this program going to end is the question. So before that, let me just print my data also. So I can use a printf statement and printf percent s, and I would be interested in printing the word back onto my console. And now I will also check if feof, that means if my file has reached the end of file, then in that case, and which file are we talking about? We are talking about the fs pointer. If such a thing happens, it will be returning true. Then in that case, I would like to end my loop as well. And so every time a loop is being executed, count plus plus would be continuing. Now, but this time it will not be giving me the number of characters, but it will be giving me the number of words, right? Because it is a string, and it is taking every string that ends with a space. But you will see that the last string that it will get, the last word that it gets, it's not ending with a space, and therefore it might give me a problem with the count. So let's see what output do I get this time. So this time it is giving me a word count of 12. Let me see if it's correct. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. So there are 13 characters. For the last one, it's not giving me the count. And one of the reasons is that I'm counting after words. If I remove it from here and I count first and then I check for the condition, in that case, it should give me the correct output. Yeah. So now I'm getting the words to be 13. So that was mistake on my part. Now I'll be counting first, and then I'll be checking for the condition that if I've reached the end of the file or not. And therefore now I'm getting the number of words that are there in the file that I'm reading. You will also see that the output now does not have any blanks or slashes, because a string or %s is defined to take only the characters, and it avoids the blank spaces, right? So therefore, since you are not getting any blank spaces stored onto the word and you are simply printing the word, therefore there are no spaces that are being printed over here, right? And if you want to manually print it, you can always go for an option of printing a space after %s. Now if you run this program, you will get the spaces as well. Fine, I hope this makes some sense. After this, I'll be talking about another function, and that is fgets. So as the name suggests, fgets is going to take get the string from the file, but from where is it going to store it? So now you will have to give the name where you want to store first. Now this time I will be using the name string instead of word, and the reason for this is maybe not a string but a sentence. So I'm using sentence. So it will be storing at the sentence. And what is my next maximum count? So my sentence maximum count. Now sentence can have, can be a long sentence. I'm taking it to be 80 size. So it will be asking me the upper bound, which is 80. Then it asks me the file from where you want to read. The file is fs. And okay, so that completes my fgets. Now what happens in case of fgets is that it will be returning a null value if it doesn't get anything. So if you are running this fgets and if it is equals to null, it is at this point that you would be interested in breaking your loop. So you simply break it, and in other cases you would be interested in printing the percent s and the sentence, and you would also be interested in counting the number of sentences, right? So sentence, I hope this works. My brackets are balanced, they are not balanced. Now they are balanced. All right, so there are two sentences and the sentences are given as under. So you must have got an idea of how to use fgets. So fgets is getting you the complete sentences at once. fscanf percentage was getting you the one word at a time, and fgetc was getting you one character at a time. So with the help of the respective functions, you can write a program to count the number of words or sentences, or the number of characters that are over there in the string. Now, in addition to this, I would like to just add one more thing, that if you are discussing about the fgetc program, then you can do many more things with this. So instead of just counting the number of characters that you have printed, you can also check for a condition that if your ch, whatever character you have, the value of that is greater than or equals to capital A, and it is less than or equals to the capital Z. That means if the character value is somewhere between the capital A and capital Z, then in that case you might be interested in counting the capital letters. So caps equals to 0, I can initialize, and if this condition is true, I would like to increment my caps, right? So this will tell me the capital letters in these strings. I can simply print this message, get from caps and fclose for sure. Okay, so there are 10 capital letters. So H is capital 1, W 2, C 3, P 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Similarly, you can count the number of spaces, you can count the number of vowels, you can count the number of consonants, you can count anything, you can even count the frequency of a particular character that is existing in this particular file. So you can do all sorts of string processing. Another thing that I would like to add over here is that if you want to read the integer kind of data, so I have created a file where I have written some numbers. You can read these numbers as characters, you can read these numbers as strings, and that is perfectly fine. But if you want these numbers to be accessible to you as integers, and if you want to initialize them into an array, then how to go about that? If you remember fscanf, then there the first thing is fs. The next thing is what kind of value are you looking for. So it's %d, and where you want to store that value. So whenever I am reading any integer value from the read underscore in.txt, I would like to store it at the address of the array. So what I can do now is there will be little changes in the program. uh, I can have a count variable, definitely starting from a 0. I can have an array of a big size. All right. I do not need characters now. And instead of sample1.txt, I am reading another file. The name of that file is read underscore int .txt. So fs has got this, and I want to store at the address of arr count. I can perform a count plus plus later on. So what will this be doing? It will be looking for the integers value one after the other, and every time it gets an integer value, it will be pressing at the address of the array count. Count starts with 0, and so it is basically counting the values as well as it is increasing the index values for storing the numbers as well. And we can again check for the ending of this loop by using feof function for the file fs. And if this is true, then I would like to break my program. So once this array has been created, I would like to print the array as well. And for writing the array, I can use a for loop. I can initialize an integer I, which starts from 0. I goes to the count of the count, and every time I plus plus is happening, and I would be printing the %t with a slash t and the values of arr of I. So yeah, so output is array, where array is 12. So let me just check: 12, 45, 78, 9, 15, 5, 54, 45, 45, 121, 4, 121, and 0. So it is going one extra number of time, and that is because when we are reaching this feof, I'm increasing my count before that. Now if I'm running, yeah, so this is now correct. And let me check that if I can perform any arithmetic operation to this or not. So if I am printing -5 value, it should be able to print that too. Yeah, 7, 45 becomes 40, 78 becomes 73. So that means now instead of getting my values as the characters or strings, I'm getting them as integers by using fscanf with the %t, and now I will be able to apply all the arithmetic operations as well. So you can try writing a program where you have got two files with some matrix values, and you read those and try to add them and write to a third file, right? So you can try such programs as well. Now, so far we have only discussed about reading the files. And if I want to write the files as well, then how do I go about that? For that, I will need another file pointer, and I'm taking the name as ft. Ft means file target. So my target file is ft, my source file is fs. And for ft also, I will be writing an fopen. Fopen in the write mode. So you will see that I already have a file by the name of read int copy.txt, which has got some content written over here. Let's see what happens. So if I open this file, read underscore int underscore copy.txt in the append mode, that is A. So A is your addition. Again, you will have to repeat the same set of code. Check whether the file is able to open or not. The message here will be a file not found. This will be a wrong message. Why? Because writing or appending mode has got the power of creating the file if it is not existent. Therefore, if at all it is returning a null value, that means that file cannot be created because of any reason. Maybe you don't have enough space in the memory, or you do not have the right of creating the files. Now you are writing the file, you are getting the values in arr, so this while loop is perfectly fine. Now instead of printing the values onto the console, I would like to print it onto the file. So for that, I'll be using fprintf. When I use fprintf, I can simply give it the direction that please go to the file, and at the file you go and print this value. So if I save this program and if I execute it, let's see what happens. So program has run. Let's come over here and you'll see that the content has been added. Now once the content has been added, so it is adding to the previous content. So this is your append mode. But if you are opening this file in the W mode and then executing your program, you will see that the previous content was erased and after that new content was added to the file. So this way you can write the file with the integer data. And so sample1.txt has got the textual data. And for that textual data, if you want to read and write the textual data, you can write a simple program where you are reading the values by fgets. And fgets was so you're reading from the you are writing to the string. The maximum value is 80. The file from where you are writing it is actually fs. So you are reading the fs file, and if fgets double equals to null, and you need to break. And if that is not the case, then you will be fputs, and fputs will take the string that you want to write. So you want to write str to ft. So this code will not be required because you have got two files now. You need to close them as well. All right, so my ft is read int copy and fs. Let's execute. It got executed, I guess. Yeah. So read int copy now has got the same text as sample1.txt. So this way you can read and write the files. I'm copying the files basically. You can even write a program where you read a specific character or read the file character by character and then copy each character using printf or fputc maybe to the targeted file. So this way you will be able to copy the content from one file to another file. All right, so having seen all these things, now let us move to the functions like fseek, ftell, and rewind. I have not discussed them so far. So what I'll do is I'll just delete the extra things from here. I'll have a target file and I would like to create that target file by the name of sample2. So let me do one more thing. I'm removing sample2 from here. I'm deleting it. Yes. And let's see if it is able to create that file or not. And then I'll check if my file has been created correctly. So for that I have got an if condition written. Fine, that works. Then after that I do not need output. I do not need a while loop because I'm writing my own content, and I would be closing this ft file after I've completed my task. So fprintf first of all will ask me the file where you want to write. So ft, it will ask me the content that I want to write. So I want to write welcome to C programming, and let me just save this program and execute it. So once I have executed it, it executed successfully. A sample2.txt file has been created. If I click on it, you will see welcome to C programming is the content that is written over here. Right. If I want to see where is my current pointer, where is my control, so for that I can take integer kind of variable, and if I write current position is equals to ftell, and ftell will also ask me the file जहाँ पे आपको current position मालूम करनी है. So ft, so current position equals to %d, and the value will come from curtPos. If I execute this, so the current position is 24. So it is 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18 19 20 21 22 23 24. Right, so 24 bytes, and after this my cursor is standing. So this means that once fprintf has written the content 24 bytes of data, and after that my cursor is there. So current position is telling me that after 24 values you stand, right? So ftell function can be used to actually get the exact location where you are standing. Now there is another function by the name of fseek. This fseek will take in the file pointer, that is ft in our case, and it will be talking about the offset. Offset means the exact location from where either you want to read the data, or the location from where you want to write the data, right? So offset could be any number. Suppose I am giving my offset to be 5, and then I have got three options like seek current, seek end, and seek set. So if I go for seek set, this basically means that I'm giving my compiler the command that go to the fifth byte, right? So and from there start doing the task. So for example, if I write this, and if I write another fprintf, that is, this time I want to write 2022 to the ft, and if I execute my program, then let's see, 2022 has been appended where, after the 5 bytes, right? So there are WELCO, 5 bytes are there, and after that 2022 has been appended. So what this fseek did, it actually set my current position after the 5 bytes, right? And in other way, if you are looking at it, you can just see that if you are starting from index 0 to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So at index 5, you will be inserting the value like 2022 that you have written over here. Fine. So this is with the help of seek set. And if I repeat my task of finding the current position once again after writing the seek statement, so my current position, current after seek, then you will see that after seek my position becomes 5. That means my pointer from the last location has reached to the fifth location index wise. Similarly, there is, if I am writing it as ft0 seek set, so this will basically be going to the initial point, and from there it will be printing the 2020, and you'll see that after seek position becomes 0. Now this is exactly similar to writing the rewind function. So rewind function, if I write over here and give my t, so rewind does what? It actually takes my pointer from whatever location it is in to the initial position. So if I simply replace my fseek 0 set seek set with the rewind function, it should do the same task. So if I compile it again, and you will see that the output is same, and here also the after seek position or after rewind position is also the same, right? Okay, so we have seen ftell, fseek, and frewind. In fseek, I would like to tell you a few more things. Like fseek used to take my file pointer, and after that an offset. So if I'm writing my offset to be suppose 10, and I'm writing seek current, so now what will happen? Right? So seek current and seek set, what is the difference? Seek set tells my compiler to go to that index value 10. Seek current tells me that whatever is your current position for now, go 10 steps ahead and then do the remaining task. So from current position, you move 10 steps ahead, 10 bytes ahead, and then you start doing the next job, and that is of printing 2022. So if I run this program, you will see that the current position that you got over here was 24, and then after moving 10 positions from the current location, you got to 34, and at 34 you will be writing to 2022. So you'll see there are some null spaces, and after that 2022 is written, right? You can even give a negative number over here. If you are doing so, that means that you are going 10 locations in the negative direction, that is towards the left hand side, that is towards the 0. And in this case, the output would be that from the current location of 24, you are going 10 steps back to the 14th location, and at the 14th location you would be inserting 2022. So this is your seek curve, and similarly you have got seek end. Seek end, as the name suggests, will take your pointer towards the end, and from end you can decide where you want to go. So from end, if you want to get 10 steps back, then for this the same output would be there. If you want to get 20 steps back, then minus 20 would take you 20 steps back to the fourth location, and your 2022 would be printed now at this location. And if you want to move ahead, you give a positive value, and this will take your cursor ahead in the direction by giving up 20 spaces and then printing the value. So this is all about file input output functions. So we have seen fscanf, fgets, fgetc, fprintf, fputs, fseek, ftell, rewind, feof. I hope things are clear. If not, you can write it in the comment section below, and I will be happy to take those questions and make more videos for clarifying the doubts. Thanks for joining in.